Thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Wildflowers, air fresheners, and your favorite shampoo. We love things that smell good. But if a sweet scent fills your car and no one's wearing perfume, beware. When I come back, I'll give you the poop.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Paraphrasing Shakespeare, if it smells like a rose, it is a rose. But I say nay, nay. A sweet scent in passenger cabins could result in a very stinky situation. Why? You could be smelling the pungent fragrance of leaking antifreeze vaporized by hot underhood temperatures. Leaking antifreeze causes engines to overheat, which not only can leave you stranded, but also cuts into vacation budgets. So enjoy the sweet smell of success this summer. Have hoses checked for leaks before you hit the road. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. First on the moon to land, first to jump the Canyon Grand. You know, Armstrong and Knievel. But who invented the first motor vehicle? Okay, I'm no poet, but when I come back, I'll solve the riddle.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
First person on the moon is already taken. But you can be first at the water cooler to know who invented the great-great-great-grandfather of today's cars. Yes, 231 years ago, the first motor vehicle was a steam-driven tractor developed by Nicolas Cugnot. Back in 1769, Mr. Cugnot's invention traveled a whopping 3 miles an hour. Unlike modern vehicles equipped with ABS brakes and airbags, his tractor had no safety devices to protect the driver from the first crash. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. In ancient times, troubadours traveled around and told stories through song. But did you know today's cars have a troubadour of their own right under your hood? When I come back, I'll sing its praises.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Your automotive troubadour may not sing, but it sure travels around and tells stories. It's your dipstick, and it communicates more than engine oil levels. Take a look and listen. Black oil on the dipstick says you're overdue for an oil change. Froth hints oil contamination. Metal particles caution engine checkups in order. And water droplets may mean harmless condensation, but more likely declare trouble leaking gaskets or faulty thermostat. Take heed, or you may be spending time not traveling, but singing the blues. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. The wise men had the North Star, Dorothy the yellow brick road. But like Jedi Obi-Wan Kenobi, you have an automotive force that helps you find your way. When I return, I'll enlighten you.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Though the sun does a great job all day, during its nighttime sabbatical, your vehicle's headlights illuminate your way. And this force has gone high-tech. Bosch's adaptive lighting directional headlamp system monitors vehicle speed, steering angle, and acceleration to anticipate the road ahead. It then continually adjusts headlamp patterns accordingly, switching combinations of 7 different lighting elements inside the lamp so you can see more clearly and drive more safely. Hey, who says there's nothing new under the sun? I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Summer vacation's great for pondering life's mysteries. I don't know much about E equals MC square, but I do know an automotive enigma I can square. When we come back, it's aerodynamics.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A favorite summertime dilemma. To increase your vacation MPG, should you keep your windows up and use the AC, or down and hope for a breeze? Well, based on aerodynamics, a slick car with windows up offers less resistance and glides more easily through the atmosphere, thereby using less gas at highway speeds, even with the AC on. So switch your air conditioner on max. You'll arrive at your vacation destination cool, calm, collected, and sooner because you'll make fewer stops to refuel. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Good morning, folks. What a great week. This has been a fantastic week. It's the end of a month in our service shop, and we just had not only a large volume of cars, but we had the largest volume of happiest customers that I can think of in a long time. And I'm so proud of our team. Also, yours truly really went to school this week and learned the School of Hard Knocks, or OJT as they call it, on-job training. I went into the root of a Mac operating system. Should never do that. I went into a Mercedes that had air conditioner issues, and an old Buick that had radio issues, and it was just really a fun week, and it took a lot of concentration, and we prevailed. I'll tell you a little bit about those as we go along the program. Hannah will take your call at 888 Car Clinic, and let's get started early. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you this morning by O'Reilly Auto Parts. If you need auto parts but can't find and get to the store yet, just head over to O'ReillyAuto.com. You can buy parts online. You can pick them up at over 5,000 O'Reilly Auto Parts stores nationwide. No shipping cost. That's cool. Easy returns and convenient pickup on your schedule. Shop your way for the parts you need at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Your call to 888 Car Clinic when I come back. Don't touch that dial. This car repair spotlight is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. We recently had a 97 SL Mercedes in our car clinic service shop with an erratic AC problem that made the car undrivable. Start the engine, AC worked perfectly. Cold air blowing out the center vents. But drive it 2 blocks and the AC shifted to heat, with all air blowing out the top. From experience, we believe the issue was a vacuum leak. After hours of testing and reading vacuum diagrams, we called our local O'Reilly Auto Parts counterman, asked him to help us search for Mercedes AC parts known to fail. Wouldn't you know, he came up with 2 specific parts, and we ordered both, installed them, and the system worked as new. It's terrific to have parts professionals on your side, not only for routine parts like brake pads, but when you really need help. Our customer got his car fixed, and we were able to close out another successful repair. That's why our first call for parts is O'Reilly Auto Parts. This car repair spotlight is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Time for another edition of Cooling System Q&A, brought to you by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. Today's question: what role does the radiator pressure cap play? The pressure cap regulates internal pressure in the system using 2 valves, a pressor and a depressor. The pressure cap controls the release of hot coolant into the recovery tank as the coolant expands from the heat, all the while maintaining pressure that is critical to preventing overheating. Turn the engine off, the antifreeze cools down, causing a vacuum in the system as the internal pressure decreases. This decrease in pressure could cause hoses to collapse and coolant levels to be incorrect. This expansion and contraction of coolant in and out of the recovery tank helps to maintain proper coolant levels. This is why it's critical to regularly inspect and replace when necessary your radiator pressure cap. Motorrad offers the best coverage of thermostats and pressure caps in the world for virtually any vehicle and engine on or off the road. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service. For more, go to motorradusa.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get this show on the road. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Miss Hannah will take your call. She does a great job. Thank you, Miss Hannah. And put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. Let's take a call from Rocky, who has an '08 Caravan. Rocky, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, Bobby. Great show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Called you a month or so ago about my Transit, and nobody seems to make an Econo chip for it, but I've got a different one for you. I've got a friend that's got a 2008 Grand Caravan, and you probably know what's coming. It's got a stalling problem. Chrysler can't fix it, and neither can anybody else.
Well,
stalling,
tell me about
driving conditions: fast, slow, dry, wet.
So tell me about it. Let's say that we're driving. Have you driven this vehicle, or is this second hand information?
I have not driven the car. I've been in it with the lady, but it performed fine on an errand into town and back. But she picked up another vehicle because it can't be relied on. But she says that when it shuts off, the steering locks. I don't think it locks. I think it just, since there's no power, I think it's just really hard to steer.
I would agree with you, yes. I would. I did have, Rocky, now as I listen to you and search my memory banks, I did have several years ago, the nicest couple lived in a newer neighborhood that was one of those sort of winding around, you know, how they build subdivisions.
Yeah.
And she would back out of the driveway with no issue. And then she would accelerate away from the house with the kids in the van. Now, you know, thanks for jogging my memory. And she would get to the first stop sign and lose the steering wheel. The car would be dead, the van would be dead. And what we found on that car, now I have to be straight here, I'm not sure that we ever fixed that car. They may have just given up and traded it, but I personally spent probably 2 days in research and all of our databases for like our All Data, which is our go-to source for technical service bulletins and odd stuff that, you know, that's technical service bulletins, and recalls are all part of the backside, you know, where the manufacturers sends information to its franchise dealers. Well, we subscribed to All Data, and All Data gets that information. Anyway, so we found that in cold weather, the throttle body idle air controller wasn't working to where it should. Now, you would really never know that, because after the first time it died, it never died again. And it wouldn't die necessarily on her first stop sign headed out of the subdivision. It might die on her second one, or as she let off the accelerator and coming to a stop, it would be dead. You know, you unless you're really in tune, you don't know when the engine go dead. All you know is that when you get to the traffic light or the stoplight and step on the accelerator, nothing happens, and the engine's dead, and you lose the steering, and you lose the brakes too if you hit them a couple of times. So the bottom line, we put a throttle body, and then, as I remember, we also replaced a relay that controlled some function, and I can't remember. I'd have to research and see what that was. But and this car did not have a trouble code stored, which was much to my surprise.
And
you
hers
know,
doesn't either. I tried to read the code, nothing. She had to the dealer; they couldn't get a code either.
well, here's what I think. Well, not on that car, but here's what I think might help her, because I agree with her. The vehicle is unreliable, and if you can't depend on it always running, or at least if you can't make it always stop, which is worse. I mean, if you've got a problem, you've got a flat tire, you fix the tire. And I know that's an oversimplification, but when an automobile has a mind of its own and it may or may not work, hot, cold, or otherwise, it's really difficult to find the issue and find the problem. And we've had recently another case like that with a Lincoln Navigator that has, and get this, extended crank time only when warm. And you hit that key with that Lincoln Navigator, and you turn the key, and it will jump to life cold every time. But you drive it 10 minutes and park it, and you come back, and it goes, and you think it's not going to start. And so the lady that owns it, is a single parent, and her concern is that she's going to be stuck somewhere and it doesn't start. And so we have not yet fixed that issue, and I won't go into what all that we have done to it, but yours truly and my team, we've got 3 days on our nickel and parts on our nickel trying to make this car run. And everything we do makes, Rocky, everything we do, the car runs, the Lincoln, it runs better. It runs better. It idles better. It performs better, but it still has that extended crank time. So anyway, I said all that to say that we have, and I'm sure the dealer has, a monitor where you plug the monitor into the OBD port and leave it, and then the owner drives the vehicle and it stores data. And even though the check engine light is not on, there is important data that's being stored as you drive the vehicle, because especially with the Dodge and especially with even more so with Ford products, the check engine light has a threshold of issues that must occur over a length of time and in duration, not only in length of time and duration, but in occurrence. And I'll give you a prime example. You could have a misfire in a Lexus with a coil, bad coil, and let's say it misfires 3,500 times, which doesn't take long to do. You know, you could go a mile and a half and that would happen. Well, with a Ford, you could drive them almost 10,000 misfires before the check engine light comes on. And so we know that every manufacturer sets their priority code in their software to see an issue. But if you were to make it very, very sensitive, like a fair-haired, fair-skinned lady in the sun, which my wife does no sun, and she has very fair skin. So if you set the computer so that it's has thick skin, meaning that it has to see a lot of issues before the light comes on, that makes for a happier owner, and it really doesn't trigger the light until there is a real problem. Because what you don't want is you don't want false codes. And I believe, Rocky, that your friend is in one of those situations where the computer says, well, this is a minor issue, definitely the engine shouldn't die, but it's not so much that we're going to, throw a code or bring a suit against the car. In other words, it's an aggravation. Now, so I don't know. The advice that I have is to go back and ask them if they have a monitoring device they can plug in the car and let her drive it longer, and then come back and read those codes. Any questions?
No, I guess the dealer's already replaced the ignition switch, and that was to no avail.
Well, I got it, yeah.
She did have an aftermarket PCM put in, which didn't do. Fortunately, she was able to get her money back on the PCM and not the labor.
Well,
they also cleaned the contacts on the fuse block under the hood.
Right.
And that didn't work.
Well, and therein lies the biggest issue with grounds and resistance and poor contacts
because poor contacts, I can't tell you, this started 25 years ago when we first really got into electronic ignitions and electronic controls. One of the things that I have learned to do when you have one of those issues, you unplug every single electrical connector that's unpluggable under the hood, and you can't take the dash apart, but you can, whatever you can get to, and you look at it, and then you put in, we use a dielectric compound, and you plug it back together, and that lubricates the contacts. Sometimes, and this has happened many times, the problem goes away. The issue that I have, being the technical purist that I am, I can't stand it when you can't verify what you did to fix the car. Yeah. You know. Hey, thanks for calling.
Been there.
Yeah. We've all been there, and we'll continue to be there. And a little later in the program, Rocky, you stay tuned, because I had, in fact, one of our radio commercials was about O'Reilly Auto Parts and this Mercedes that had a vacuum loss, and we fixed the air conditioner, and that vehicle, just for you to know, we delivered that vehicle yesterday. We had that vehicle in the shop since July 20, and we delivered it yesterday. And that's a fact. A very patient individual. Now, we were doing a lot of things. It was a project car. We were restoring some of the car, but a little more about that later. And the phones are, everyone on the whole, I'm going to come to you next. Stay right there. We recently sat down with Johnson Controls Global Brand Manager Joe Meyer to discuss the advantages of AGM batteries. Joe touched on why many of today's vehicles are better suited for this technology. Let's hear from Joe.
Attributes that make your vehicle a good candidate for an AGM battery really depend on the electrical demands that are placed on the battery within your vehicle, as well as potentially the vehicle application, such as start-stop. Most vehicles manufactured in recent years actually contain more than 150 electrical accessories, including backup cameras, navigation systems, heated seats, even power windows, which are part of our everyday lives. Our AGM batteries are manufactured to meet these electrical demands. Additionally, if you have something in your car such as start-stop technology, you need an AGM battery to help ensure you are effectively powering your vehicle during this stop event.
Johnson Controls is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries, which are precision engineered to meet the electrical demands we put on today's vehicles. Learn more at autobatteries.com. A 2000 Chrysler Concorde with a 2.7 V6 recently came into the shop. The owner was having issues with low oil pressure and a warning light. After testing and inspection, we found sludge in the engine. The owner was partly to blame, as he had not changed the oil often enough. But sludge buildup is a common problem in this engine. Do you overhaul this old engine in this old car? Well, maybe, but Berryman Engine Oil Flush may help. Berryman Engine Oil Flush quickly and safely removes harmful sludge and other deposits in the crankcase of all gasoline and diesel engines without using aggressive solvents. Berryman frees sticky valves and lifters for quieter operation, opens restricted oil passages that improve overall oil circulation. Berryman's Engine Oil Flush is compatible with all single-grade and multi-grade conventional and synthetic gasoline and diesel engine oils. Drive to BerrymanProducts.com for more information and to check out Berryman Engine Oil Flush. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher at 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for tuning in today. 888 Car Clinic. Hannah will take your call and put you in the queue, and I'll be glad to take your call and put you on the air. and share with you my knowledge and my experience. And to that end, I just can't impress upon you enough that as long as I've been in the automotive service, I've hosted this program for 27 years and owned and operated Bobby Likis Car Clinic Service Pre-Repair for 47 years. And it's amazing to me at what I learn every day, including this week about cars and technical items and those sorts of things. But before I go into any of that, which some of that is really interested, some of you may not be, let's go to Paul, who has an '01 Cadillac. Paul, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Thank you, Bobby. I've talked to you before about my '01 Cadillac STS.
Yes, sir.
It's a dream car, and I still have it.
Okay.
Even though we don't drive it, we have another vehicle. So anyway, I still have that startup, put it in reverse, and you get a major snap.
Right.
We talked about it before, but I can't relay that to mechanics. Now, here's the thing. I don't know whether to take it to a transmission specialist or to just a general automotive specialist. What do I do, Bobby?
That's a great question. If you go to a surgeon, a doctor, they probably are going to want to operate. If you go to a technician, he's going to want to repair the car. If you go to a salesman at a dealership, or if you see a salesman while your car's in the shop, he's going to want to sell you a car, he or she. So we all have our, I mean, it's human nature. So Paul, and you know as well as I, there are a lot of cars that have been sold where salesmen would roam the waiting room and just say hello to folks waiting on their car, and you know, sure enough, there'd be at least one that said, yeah, I've been here 5 times, I still got the same problem. It may not be the same problem, but the fact is, what we've always said in our service shop is, if the owner's not satisfied with the performance of the automobile, you got to work on it until he or she is satisfied. Now, as far as the snap in reverse, two things, there are two main bullet points that can cause that, and I can make these real short. Number one, it could be the reverse clutch spring, because in an automatic transmission, people think there's no gears and clutches, but they are. They're just wet in oil. And so the hydraulic part of the reverse clutch pack, and a clutch pack, think of this as a dishpan, a pot, and that pot has clutches in it and a shaft going through. And the shaft turns, and the clutches are in oil. Well, the clutches turn too. So, and that's, in other words, if you try to make something go, it won't go because the clutches just spin in oil, unless you've got a big giant pressure plate that pushes against the clutches, and then that locks the clutches and makes them all one, and then whatever drum is attached to that or pan is attached to that, it starts to turn. Well, when this is true for all automatic transmissions, and this is the opposite of what racers like. Automatic transmissions are made to soften the engagement of clutches, and I can make this really plain. You drive a standard transmission and you got it in gear and you sidestep the clutch, bam! You're either going to break something, chirp the tires, or kill the motor. I mean, that's just it. You understand where I'm going at, right?
Of course.
Okay, so.
I've been there.
yeah, we've all done that. So the Cadillac and all automatic transmissions, soft engagement is performed by a limited amount of pressure or volume of hydraulic pressure, volume of fluid. And even during the application of this pressure, there's a conical spring that you know, it's like your parents telling you, hold your shoulders back, and you hunch over, hold your shoulders back. Well, that spring is conical, so when the pressure gets to it, it's got its shoulders hunched, and it's forced to stand up. It's forced to flatten out, and during that slight forcement, the application to the lockup is softened. Well, if that spring is broken, then it goes bam, and it'll come in and it'll lock up too quickly. So you could have physically a broken conical spring in the drum of your Cadillac's reverse clutch pack, or you could have a sensor that tells the computer that it needs to lock up more rapidly, and it's applying pressure, and that could be that because, and this is a little more technical, so I'm struggling here to make it lay terms. Here's the bottom line. You can either burst a rubber hose with a hole in it, like you're washing your car, or you can ease a hole in it, let it spray. The volume of water that pops out determines how much of a burst there is. Well, the volume of water that the computer, but the volume of transmission fluid the computer applies to that clutch pack determines how easy or how firmly it goes into gear. And to that end, Chrysler, we can adjust that rate on a Chrysler. For me, I want that instantaneous, bam, bam, bam. I love that first gear, second gear, third gear, you know, like paddle shifters. And I do that with the car I drive to this day. Now, I wouldn't want that in reverse, because in reverse you're not driving the car, you just wanted to back up, and that's an inconvenience, and also it shocks the drive shaft and the U-joints and the axles, and that's what really sort of I'm sure upsets you. So I said all that to say that I don't know what's causing it, but I would check operating pressure, and that's the key word for you that you're looking for. Operating pressure, because there is a spec. There's a OEM factory specification from GM that determines how much the pressure is in reverse. And Paul, in closing, I'll just share this with you. The reverse clutch pack uses more pressure than the forward clutches upon application, because when you back up, it's not a case of softly backing up. It's a case of, I need this reverse locked up, and I need it locked up immediately. So if the car had a pressure problem, I said that to say this, if the car had a high pressure problem that was excessive, you might not feel it as much in forward gears, but it would be more prominent in reverse, because reverse is urged to the higher pressure side anyway. It's programmed to the higher pressure side. Do you understand all that jargon that I just...
I certainly do. I've
Okay.
told you before. I'm an old mechanic. I go back to like 1954, working on cars.
Wow.
I've worked on them for many years. Then went in the Air Force, became a jet aircraft mechanic.
Wow. Well, that's really cool. Well, then I'll let you go. But anyway, the pressure, operating pressure is what you want to test, and there are solenoids that control that. There's a throttle position switch. I mean, if you had a throttle position switch that was, let's say that the idle was 0.2 of a volt, and wide open throttle was 5 volts. If you had and it's just like a potentiometer on your dimmer in your den. If you got inside your home, there's a light dimmer. So if you turn it all the way to the left, the light goes out. If you turn it to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, the more you get to 12 o'clock, the brighter the light gets. Well, if you turn the power off and you had the dimmer all the way bright and you turn the power back on, bing, the light's going to flash. So if the throttle position switch had its power at wide open throttle, because you're not stepping on the accelerator to wide open, but it thinks you are, then when the transmission goes in gear, it's going to say, "Hey, he's nailed the throttle. We gotta get with the action here." You see how that's all interrelated and sophisticated?
Yes. The interrelationship between all those components.
Yeah.
I do understand, Bobby, and I appreciate your help on this.
Hey, you're welcome.
A lot of people don't understand. They go, "Well, it can't be," you know.
Oh, it
Yes,
can be. Oh, yeah, it is. It is. Hey, that's one thing that I love about my job and my communication with individuals, car owners who are not in the business. To think that a car owner doesn't know anything about the car is not the point. The car owner knows better than I and better than your shop folks, whether it's an independent, a dealership, or a chain store. You know what you're familiar with your car. You know when it does something that it didn't used to do, and therefore when you go to someone, they say, "Oh, they all do that." Well, really? I don't think so. I don't think so. Hey, nice talking with you as always. Appreciate your confidence.
It's a pleasure, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Let's go to George. George, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us. Thank you for holding.
Yeah, listen, Bobby, thanks a million for taking my call.
You're welcome, sir.
Look, I have a 2004 Accent Hyundai.
Okay.
And it'll go down the road for about 2 or 3 miles, and it'll just shut right off. And then if I set for 20 minutes, it'll come back on, and it'll go. And you just keep on doing that.
Any check engine light on the dash?
No code, no.
No codes. Okay. Well, you could definitely have, let's see, going down the road, it shuts off. No
Just
bumps.
completely off,
No
yes.
bumps. No. Now, when the engine shuts off, of course, you lose power steering and all those sorts of things. All the accessories still work. I mean, all the power, the lights, the horn, the radio, if you got it on, air conditioner.
Yeah, that seems to work.
Well, you need to check that. You say it seems to work, but I think
the lights are on, and on the dash and all.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And what about the radio and/or air conditioning system?
Well, the air conditioner's on. I generally don't play the radio.
Okay.
So the air conditioner's on.
Well, you got your radio on today. It's a good thing.
Today, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what I that's the challenge, because it's an erratic behavior, and it is the biggest single challenge, not singularly, but it is for our industry. What you have to do, here's what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, think about this. The next time, and of course you can't make this happen. It's at random, right?
Right.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So the next time it
just
happens,
goes right off.
Yeah.
No
okay.
matter if I go 2 or 3 miles.
All right. But here's what I want you to do. The next time it happens, I want you to make a mental note, or on your phone, make a voice note of how much fuel was in the tank, whether or not it was raining outside or dry, whether the engine was cold, warm, or hot. And cold means no matter what the temperature is when you first fire the engine up in the morning. Warm means the warm-up process between first firing the car. And hot means normal operating temperature, which means you've driven the car no less than 10 minutes. So you got to fire it up, that's cold, drive it away, that's warm, and hot, you've driven it 10 minutes, and then take it into your shop and say, when it's warming up, and I let off the accelerator, it dies. Or you'll know something about then, and that's a better communication. Hey, folks, I'll be back. We recently sat down with Kate Searlick, Global Product Management Lead with Johnson Controls. Kate talked about the advantages of AGM batteries, noting they outperform traditional flooded batteries when partially charged. A key benefit if your normal driving consists of shorter trips. Let's hear from Kate.
Today's charging systems are not negatively affected by installing an AGM battery, and no modifications are needed for the alternator or the charging system. In fact, an AGM battery actually performs better when partially charged than a standard flooded battery. This means if you're not driving long enough distances to fully charge the battery, an AGM battery more efficiently performs and not consume additional power from the alternator. We were able to validate this in fleet testing we conducted in Las Vegas, where we witnessed AGM batteries providing up to twice the service life of a standard flooded battery.
AGM batteries help meet the electrical demands put on today's vehicles, and Johnson Controls is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries. Learn more at autobatteries.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Just remember, every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, I'm in the studio, and I'll take your calls and help you to the best of my ability with regard to your car challenges, or we could talk tires or oil, or actually after this week we could maybe talk about Mac computers. I went into the root, which is the DOS system, if it were a PC, of my Mac. I dared to go there, and folks, that is not my forte, but I did it anyway, and I'm proud to say that I repaired a problem with a seized, stuck DVD that goes into the slot of my Mac 27, and it wouldn't come out, and the Mac was going it was reading the disc, couldn't read it, so I tried to spit it out, and it was stuck because ultimately the label had become detached from the disc. And so it was I won't go through because it would take too long to tell you, just to tell you that I did get that out. So if you've ever had a problem with a DVD that won't come out of your hard drive, whether it's a laptop or a Mac top or whatever, I might can help you there, or I could get you in trouble. So maybe let's just stick with cars. Let's go to Mike. Mike, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Hey, Bobby, how you doing? I always enjoyed the show.
Thank you, terrific.
Hey, I got a friend, a widow lady, that's got a 03 Chrysler van, just like the one you had.
Right.
And she's got the seatbelt light that comes on even when she snaps the seatbelt in on the driver's side. And she was calling me, asking me about that, and I'm not able to troubleshoot it, but I think it must be either a wire, that connection in the seatbelt receiver.
Well, for sure, each seat belt has its own wire that must be, depending on whether or not someone's in the seat. Now, the right seat belt, the passenger seat belt, if no one's in the seat, would not come on if it were not buckled for obvious reasons. But if you, for instance, put some groceries in the right front seat, or or a gallon of paint, or whatever you're shopping for, and the seat thought that and I don't know what the threshold is, probably 25 pounds. I'm not sure of that, but let's just say it's 25 pounds. So if you put a 25-pound weight in the passenger seat in a normal car and that didn't have this problem, that light would come on as well. And also it would trigger the airbag, so you couldn't have the airbag turned off for the passenger seat. Likewise, on the driver's seat, there are those same switches. So what she has should be relatively simple to fix, but there's a step procedure to trace the circuit. And in order to trace the circuit, Mike, the shop will have to have the wiring diagram. Now, if you just want to help her, you could look at either the clasp where you insert the buckle. And some cars have the wire in that part, and you could look at where it's bolted onto the floor. That's got that one big bolt that holds those. So you can look at in that area. Don't worry about where the buckle is, because that's not where you're going to look it for. Look down at where it's bolted to the floor, and if you see a wire there, then you'll know that's the ground wire, and that's the culprit, or at least that's the circuit you want to test. The challenge with that is on the other side where the reel is hidden in the A pillar, in the B pillar.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't see that without taking the B-pillar plastic cover off. And the problem with that is, you know, the knees connected to the hip and the hips. I mean, you start taking one plastic panel, a simple plastic panel off of the interior of a car, it runs up to the roof headliner and goes forward. I mean, it's like, hey, look, I don't want to take this whole car apart. All I want to do is look in that little place right there. So
I'm going to get her. I'm going to get her to take it to a shop, Bobby.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Have that. And then one of the things, one of my biggest concerns is, if that is if it's got a problem there, will that affect the airbags?
No, that's a separate circuit. However, now interesting you should say that. I say it's a separate circuit, but under no circumstances am I saying that those two circuits aren't communicating. Years ago, before we ever got into high tech, and I'm saying in maybe the mid 90s, we do from time to time film, or we rent a stall to a major law firm and a technician, and the law firm comes in, you know, both sides of the street. The law firm comes in, and then also, for instance, one time we had a firm that came in, an attorney and a gentleman from General Motors, and all our job is to fire up, or not fire up, but to power up the car. So they put a camera up and turned the cameras on, and our technician powered up the car, which means all he did was to put a battery in the car and make sure that there were no shorts by using a tool, and then powered the car up. And here was the problem. The person that had a wreck in this car centered a telephone pole, and the telephone pole went about 2 feet into the motor in the very center of the front of the car. And he died. And the challenge was that the airbag, and this was ironic, the airbag supposedly didn't fire quickly enough. It didn't, and at that time is when airbags were had a bad rap of, well, it wasn't a bad rap, but occasionally smaller women would be injured because the airbag would deploy at a rate too rapid. You may remember that, Mike.
Sure.
Okay, so the GM man, I was blown away. The GM person came in, he hooked his laptop to this car's computer, and this is before we had OBD2. This was way back so it had to be before 96. Yeah, it was 92 or 93 or whatever. And what he said, and what his software proved, was this car was going 55 miles per hour. The driver let off of the accelerator and hit the brake pedal 1.5 seconds before impact. And here's the catch. The seatbelt was not connected.
Ooh.
So that was the end of the case. And that's when I really began to wonder, gosh, what about all this information, these recorders, and this is still an ongoing issue, who owns that information? Well, in this case,
you
know, and that's really something to think about. Who does own that information? It's your car, and you know, we all drive vehicles now, the newer cars that have data recorders, and like an airplane, you know, and I don't have an issue with that, but I can tell you, if you knew what and how you were driving, you would change your way of driving, and I say that because I have what's called a dongle that is attached to the underside of my center console, and it is from my insurance company, and they promised to give me better rates if I would be a better driver. And so about 3 years ago, I said, hey, sure, I'll try it. I really, Mike, quite candidly, wanted to see what the technology would uncover. And so I could show you in my phone right now on my app, my left turns, my right turns, my acceleration, my speeds, my stopping, and what time of day I drive. And so I also put one in my wife's car, and she took it out and crushed it. She said, I don't want anybody, it's nobody's business how I drive. If I'm going, that's a true story. I left mine in, and I left mine in for two reasons. One, the technical side of me, and 2, I was promised a discount. Now, without mentioning the insurance company's name, I never got the discount. And so to that end, I'm really upset with my insurance agent, and I'm going to shift companies. Of course, I mean, and so that's a little insight. But I've got 3 years of, and I can show you where my next 6-month premium is going to be $76 reduced in discount. The most I've ever gotten is $13 and some odd cents.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, Bobby.
Yeah.
Hey, you serviced my Avalon. I just finished a 2,100-mile trip, 29.6, cruising at between 70 and 75. So, you know, that was that 08 Avalon that I brought in.
Oh, yeah.
We worked on.
Oh, Mike. Yeah. That Mike. You're that Mike. Oh, great. Well, you got a good car there. You know, no question about it. Yeah. Hey,
it's great. Hey, thanks a lot, Bobby.
Yeah, man. Always enjoy talking with you. So folks, recently we had a 2012 Ford Fusion that came into the shop, had about, I think, 50,000 miles, as I remember. It's making a squealing noise in the rear brake system. So our technician road tested the vehicle just to make sure we could duplicate the owner's complaint. Then we performed a complete brake inspection, and just as we suspected, we found irregular wear on the driver's side rear brake pad. Now, oddly enough, this car had one inside brake pad on the driver's side worn down to 0 millimeter. Well, what does that mean? It means metal to metal, and yet the outside pad still had 7 millimeters of brake pad material on it. So no doubt this car had a caliper piston malfunction, or the guide pins. And just for you to know, on disc brakes, all calipers breathe. You step on the brake, they clamp, but when you let off the brake pedal, they unclamp, they relax. Well, if they're seized or the piston is sticking, you force them to clamp, but they don't have any pressure to unforce them. So if they're seized, you got a real problem there. So what we did on this particular Ford Fusion, using the OE Ford parts, we replaced the caliper. Of course, we put new pads and rotors and made sure that we cleaned and lubed the other caliper. We then transferred the Fusion's electronic parking brake onto the new caliper, and to finish the job off properly, and this is where some shops might not finish it off in total, we exchanged all the old brake fluid with new, which protects the entire system from moisture invasion, which in this 6-year-old car is likely what caused the problem. So our service team does a great job, and I'm proud of them. We're also are proud to be members of Ford's Professional Service Network. And as an independent shop owner, I have to tell you, it's terrific to have such a connection with Ford Motor Company. And folks, if you own a shop, for shop owners out there and for car owners out there, you can go to FordPSN.com, and Ford PSN stands for Professional Service Network, and I'm proud that our Bobby Likis Car Connect Service Pre-Repair is a member of the Ford Professional Service Network. Now, what does that mean to you? Well, it means we have the information that we need from Ford Motor Company to fix Fords, and that's a big deal because it wasn't always that way. So I'll take your calls at 888-227-2546. That's 888-227-2546. Tires. I want to talk just a little bit about tires. And I want to share a name with you. Giovanni Battista Pirelli. Oh, well, if I hadn't mentioned Pirelli's name, you wouldn't have known who Giovanni Battista is, but he had a passion for rubber and a vocation for business and an international vision, and yes, he was the founder of Pirelli Tires. I have on my car, and it came from the factory with Pirelli P0 tires, and it's the classic 80 model Porsche that I talk about. And I'll tell you, for over 140 years, which is a lot longer than anyone listening to this program has been around, Pirelli has challenged the boundaries of technology and style and sustainability, and Pirelli has set trends across the world, and they were credited with developing the world's first high-performance, low-profile street radio. I did not know that until this past week. Someone asked me about tires, and we talk about every other day about tire and tire wear and those such things, but I didn't know that the low-profile street radio was a Pirelli design. So that's become an established original equipment tire supplier for a lot of European top vehicle manufacturers in the sporty vehicles. Anyway, you can go to Pirelli.com for more information, but I just thought it was interesting to share with you Giovanni Battista Pirelli. That's really cool. So I'm Greek, and Likis is really Eleftheridikis. That's right. And at one time I could spell it, but I won't even go there now. Hey, if you got a car question or you have a story you want to share about, so maybe a service shop did you a great job, then feel free to do that. I will share this with you. We did have, and you've heard me mention on the air about the Mercedes that we had here that had a multitude of issues. I learned just this week, this car had been stored, it was an estate car, had been stored in a barn in Massachusetts, and after we got the air conditioner and suspension, all that fixed, the door locks didn't work. And by the way, the top, which is electromechanical, you just push a button and it pops up and loosens, that didn't work either. So after we were so familiar with the car, had so many hours in the car, and repaired the air conditioner to work, we actually said, there's one more thing that doesn't work, and that's the door locks. So some 9 hours later, we found that issue, and a very vacuum pump in the trunk of this Mercedes that supplements the vacuum to the entire car and works the door locks and the top, as it turned out, unlocks them, had been chewed, the plastic hose, by a rodent or a squirrel, and we had to dig into the deep interior of the car and fix those things that you actually couldn't reach. Very interesting. Hey, that's all the time I have. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Coolant leaks can be expensive, with repairs costing a few $1,000s or more. And these problems often hit vehicles late in life when they may be only worth a few $1,000s. There is an alternative. K-Seal is a pour-in solution designed to stop leaks and help prevent future leaks. Older sealers use sodium silicate, which has a tendency to clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair the leak without clogging. Learn more about K-Seal at kseal.com. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it. HEST, or high-energy solvent technology, is what differentiates Berryman products from other additives, providing a more complete combination of available chemical technologies. But don't take our word for it. Here's a testimonial from Olivia. Her 99 Infiniti Q45 with 170,000 miles was starting to hesitate and lag. After doing her research, Olivia decided on Berryman's B12 Chem Tool. According to her, the product works great and it's less expensive. Great value. Learn more about Berryman products and their HEST technology at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the cultivated section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the cultivated section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for tuning in. Every Saturday from 10 till noon, I come to you from the center of the automotive universe. And the center of the automotive universe happens to be an all-digital studio. It's the perfect place to be should a hurricane ever come back through our fair state of Florida, or Pensacola, Florida, as it were, like Ivan did. The floor of the studio weighs 10,000 pounds and rests on rubber. It's isolated, and it is a bunker, to say the least. But it's a nice-looking bunker. Hannah will take your call, 888-CAR-CLINIC, and put you in the queue. I see that we have Alan that's waiting, and so when we come back from the break, I will take his call first up, and your call. So try to get in early so we don't get rushed toward the end of the program. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by Diablo Sport. The time to add power and save is here. Take advantage of the great rebate savings from Diablo Sport and equip your ride with power that you can actually feel. Rebate offers include the Predator 2, the Intune i3, and the Trinity 2, and you can learn more at DiabloSport.com. That's DiabloSport.com. 888-227-2546. You know, I can't wait. I'll come back from the break. We'll take Alan's call, and then you call, and Hannah will put you in the queue, and we'll just have a great time together, and we'll have some car fun here on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We recently worked on an 03 Buick Park Avenue with a 3.8 engine, and the vehicle had been a workhorse, 190,000 miles and more. That said, fuel economy had slipped from 24 mpg to 19. On cold startup, the check engine light flashed. In addition to rough idling, engine fuel trim pointed toward carbon issues. A quick scan revealed random misfire code P0300. The codes were cleared, and after a visual inspection of the ignition system and fuel filter change, we added a can of Berryman B12 Chem Tool to a fresh tank of fuel. After a 400-mile round trip and a second can of Berryman B12 Chem Tool, fuel economy was back to 24 miles per gallon and idle quality was restored. Many times, complex running issues are traced to carbon issues on today's vehicles. Fuel system maintenance starts with simple tank additives as the first step in carbon cleaning your engine. The next time your vehicle is sluggish or experiencing fuel economy that's not up to par, try Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Learn more at BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com. Car repairs get expensive, and most of us don't have spare money for them. That's where brands like K-Seal really can be a lifesaver. A leaking freeze plug is definitely cause for concern. The plugs seal the cooling system and are a common cause of leaks on aging engines. And while the plugs themselves are not terribly expensive, replacement can be a tedious job. It's because most freeze plugs are difficult to gain access to. Not to mention the fact that you have to drain and refill the entire cooling system. All of this ultimately makes for an expensive repair. So what can you do if your vehicle is only worth a few $1,000s? That's where K-Seal comes in. Pour K-Seal into the cooling system, and it will work to seal the system as you drive. Never clogs up. It also stays in the system and can help prevent future leaks as well. We've used K-Seal on many cars in our shop and have had great results. Find K-Seal at automotive retailers nationwide and get more information at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at lendingtree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour. Thanks for tuning in, and for all of those of you who are at Watch Bobby Live. And folks, if you're out of town or you're going out of town and you want to just maybe from anywhere on the globe, you can go to watchbobbylive.com, and we're there. I'll wave at the camera in HD, and we have a lot of folks. We have one gentleman that I'm surprised he hasn't called from Australia, Frank. Remember him, Fabio? He calls occasionally, and as I understand, it's like 2 a.m. His time. And we've had some military folks to call in. One gent called in from Afghanistan, and during his conversation, I heard this shroom. He said, "Got to go." I mean, true story. And he actually called back and told us that it was one of those little missiles or whatever that they hold up. I forget what they call it now. What do you call that?
RPG.
RTV. Yeah. RT what?
RPG.
RPG. What does that mean?
Rocket propelled grenade, I believe.
That's what it was. Yeah. Anyway, very interesting. I always wondered how he called in the program, but I know he had a sat phone, had to be, and that's probably not. Anyway, let's go to Alan. Alan, good morning. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. You don't have a RPG around you, do you?
I won't deploy in your direction.
Oh yeah, well, I appreciate that.
not till after we complete our call.
Well, that being said, I hope I can help you then.
If you do right by me, you're safe.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, good.
All right.
Thanks for taking my call. This is Alan. I spoke to you about 3 Saturdays ago or so about an 85 Mercury Capri 5-liter that smokes when you hook the vacuum line to the distributor. Do you recall?
I recall our conversation. So update me.
Well, first off, let me say this. I did you an injustice, a disfavor by not giving you all the information. So I would like to make a disclaimer that to all your listeners, take a moment to write things down so that you can give Bobby all the pertinent information, because okay. I did not, and the injustice was applied to you because you could not diagnose properly without all the information, nor can any mechanic.
Right.
So, that being said, what I neglected to tell you, that when you hook the vacuum line to the distributor, cylinder number 6 saturates the plug. It is the only cylinder that receives the oil and causing the smoke. And it'll saturate. When you pull the plug out, it looks like you just dipped it in the can of oil.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you disconnect the vacuum line, if it's that severely saturated, it may take a little time. But once you disconnect the vacuum from the vacuum advance on the distributor, that cylinder will clear up. So it's not pulling into the manifold under the carburetor. It is drawing it internally somewhere around that cylinder.
Well,
but why is vacuum just causing it? Why is vacuum pulling it there?
Okay, number one, what year is it?
85.
Okay.
5 liter.
All right. That vacuum hose that runs to that distributor should have no vacuum on it at idle.
Yes. I've been working on an 86 460 engine.
All right. Now
lately.
wait. Now wait a minute. A vacuum advance is there only for one purpose, and that is to under slight throttle, moderate throttle. It induces, and there are 2 different vacuum ports. I won't get technical, but this is easy. Either the vacuum hose goes directly from intake manifold vacuum to the distributor, which means that when you crank the car up, that it advances the timing by whatever. And if the advance has 10 degrees of timing in the distributor vacuum advance, then that means that you have 20 degrees at an idle, and that's not the way it works. Its vacuum advance uses a vacuum that is ported vacuum, means that under moderate or modest acceleration, there's a port in the carburetor, and I can see this as I talk, that the air, as it goes around the throttle plate in the carburetor, goes by a port, and that port is hooked to a vacuum port and a line that goes to the distributor. So as you're cruising, the timing comes way up, and it frees the engine up and advances the timing, which increases gas mileage. That's the only reason that vacuum advances are used. Having said that, you can. So here's what you can do, Alan, to prove or disprove: unplug that and put your tongue on the end of the hose with the engine idling.
Right, but what I don't understand is.
I know. We'll get to that. But first, you got to do that. You got to do that.
Yeah.
You got to do that so that you'll know there's no vacuum in that. There's no vacuum to that line, and the very fact that you plug that line in and you think, and that makes number 6, only proves to me that there is some attachment between that vacuum port and the number 6 cylinder. And quite candidly, the only connection is a PCV system underneath the carburetor or intake manifold or valve guide. It is not has nothing to do with hooking up the vacuum of that system, and I challenge that. I can tell you that is totally not correct.
So then the only inference would be then that upon advance, because that does have constant vacuum to the advance. It is a manifold vacuum to that distributor.
Okay. Then in that case, then you should be able to plug that vacuum line, and it would cause the same thing. You can eliminate the distributor. You won't have the advance, but that's neither here nor there. If you plug that vacuum line, it means that that port and whatever port is related, like PCV system, now has vacuum that it didn't have before. Just as this Mercedes that I fixed this week that had a rodent that had chewed a vacuum hose located under the seat, the very vacuum pump that was in the trunk that is there to supplement the main vacuum of the car was causing the problem because there was a hole in the main vacuum hose that we had to find. It took us months to find this, literally, because there was other things wrong with the car too. But the bottom line, that I want you to eliminate the distributor from your diagnostic.
I do that.
Okay, good. All right.
And I plugged the line because that's the only way I can get a control of the air-fuel mixture is by
sure.
If you disconnect it and leave it open, it draws air.
Right.
So the only thing that's being affected is that advance mechanism.
No. You're looking at the other end. Don't think about the vacuum and the distributor. Think about the vacuum. Forget the distributor. What you're doing is you're closing up that port so that whatever's wrong internally in the engine has vacuum on it, and that vacuum is sucking oil, and that oil is ending up in a cylinder. Forget the distributor part. Look at the source.
But the point that I can't understand and no one can understand is that when you hook the line to the vacuum advance mechanism, there's a diaphragm there, so you have only the pressure applied to the distributor. There's no air flow in that vacuum line when it's hooked to the distributor.
That's correct.
At that point, it's plugged up.
That's correct. But on the other end, but wait, Alan, on the other end, you have vacuum now that wasn't leaking that you didn't have before. And that vacuum is supplied by the intake manifold, and the intake manifold feeds the cylinders, and that's where your problem is. So here's the point. Here's the point. If you're washing your car with a hose and somebody goes behind you near the spigot and drills a hole in the hose, you have no pressure to wash the car. You say,
No,
well,
I
gosh,
understand that.
so it's not the distributor that has anything to do with it. It's the fact that you're stopping a vacuum leak, and when you stop the vacuum leak, it exacerbates the vacuum internally in the mechanical part of the engine. You see where I'm going?
But my point is when that line is hooked to the distributor, there's no change of vacuum internally in the engine.
Sure there is. When the line is disconnected,
there's no flow.
You told me.
Wait.
You told me, Alan, that at idle that is full vacuum going to that distributor. At idle, you said intake manifold vacuum. Did you not?
Right.
Did you not?
Yeah.
Therefore, if you disconnect it, you have a leak, right?
No, because I plugged the hole.
No,
when I disconnected.
right. So if you plug the hole with an object, or you stick it on the distributor, same thing as plugging it, then you got number 6 is pumping oil in the cylinder, right?
Yes.
If you unplug it,
only thing,
let me finish. Let me finish. If you unplug it, you don't get oil in that cylinder.
But the line is plugged, so there's still no vacuum change within the engine.
Stop. If you unplug it and left it exposed, you don't get oil in that cylinder? Yes or no?
No.
You don't know. Stay right there. Stay right there. This is so fun. This is so fun. We have to get on the other side, and we will. This Engine Care Spotlight is brought to you by Walker Products, a leading manufacturer of quality fuel system components and engine sensors. Today's vehicles are being pushed to new heights with increased fuel economy and fewer tailpipe emissions, which has created the need for a smarter and more sophisticated exhaust after-treatment system, featuring an array of sensors designed to help monitor and control the different aspects of vehicle operation and health. The EGT, or exhaust gas temperature sensor, plays a major role in multiple processes, and it's critical that the EGT is performing within their limits. But not all EGT sensors are created equal. Housing styles and materials vary, in addition to resistance types and temperature ratings. It's imperative that a consumer replace their EGT sensor with a correct OEM factory-style sensor. Walker Products has been supplying the automotive aftermarket since 1946 and manufactures all of its EGTs using only OEM-based sensors. Need a new sensor? Walker Products offers OE quality at aftermarket prices. Drive to walkerproducts.com. Berryman Products is celebrating their 100th anniversary, providing innovative products to the automotive aftermarket, like Berryman Chem Dip carburetor parts cleaner that helps remove gum, varnish, fuel residue, and other harmful deposits from carburetor parts and throttle bodies without heat, aeration, or agitation. Berryman Chem Dip carburetor parts cleaner is safe to use with most plastic and metal carburetor and throttle body parts, including steel and aluminum alloys. Learn more at berrymanproducts.com.
What 100-year-old automotive company makes dozens of products to extend your vehicle's life and improve its performance?
Let me see.
Which company uses high-energy solvent technology, or HEST?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
What company introduced B12 Chem Tool over 40 years ago? Still the best fuel system cleaner on the market?
Oh, don't tell me it's
Berryman Automotive Products. Correct. Berryman Automotive Products has lubricants, cleaners, solvents, hundreds of solutions, and every product all American-made since 1918. You'll find Berryman Automotive Products at AutoZone, Pep Boys, and Walmart. Now, why would you buy anything else?
You sure ask a lot of questions.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And great to have you tune in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic this morning, brought to you in part by K-Seal, the one-step permanent multi-purpose system for coolant leak repair, including head gaskets, engine blocks, water pumps, and radiators. You can learn more at kseal.com. Okay, Alan, let's slow down here. Here's the bottom. You're still with me, right?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Number one, the only thing common, if that vacuum line that goes to the distributor goes to the intake manifold, it is common to all cylinders unless that vacuum port is a fitting that screws onto one particular runner of the intake manifold. Most of the time, manufacturers will, and older cars, this is not true, and you've got an older car, so you may have that vacuum hose connector that feeds intake manifold vacuum, not ported vacuum. You know the difference. Okay, that hose goes to a certain runner if it's not connected to the base of the carburetor. More than likely, it's connected to the base of the carburetor because that's common. That's a common area. Okay?
Well, I believe it comes off a manifold. There's a vacuum manifold, where multiple hoses are connected, where it originates from. That vacuum originates off of a...
All right, fine. That's fine.
Vacuum manifold.
So if and this, I don't believe this, but if, as you think, number 6 cylinder gets lubed and oiled, fouled, when you hook up this line, then it's possible that vacuum tree is hooked to the number 6 cylinder port. And ergo, it would have some effect on whether or not that port had full vacuum, and that would cause a rough idle as well if that were the case. So
yeah, I seem not to have any idle issue.
Okay.
And when I disconnect the line from the distributor, I do not alter the timing by moving the distributor. It remains at the same timing point when it's attached.
Then have you taken a vacuum gun to determine if the vacuum chamber is broken, ruptured?
Well, no, I have positive vacuum everywhere to PCV.
You're not listening. You're not listening to me. Forget all you think you know about this car. Forget all you're so confused, and I got to help you here. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a rubber piece of hose and plug it onto the vacuum chamber in one end, and I want you to put the other end in your mouth and suck on it. And then when it pulls a vacuum, I want you to put your tongue on the end of the little rubber hose and see if it holds vacuum. Then you've proven that chamber is not leaking. I want you to do that and only that as one test. You got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So that's.
And I'm quite certain that all that vacuum process is secure and tight. I have no leaks.
But what you're saying is impossible. What you're saying is impossible because if you have vacuum to the vacuum chamber and you unplug it and that chamber is working, you will see a retard in ignition timing. Ergo, it's impossible for the vacuum not to retard if it's working and advances. You see where I'm going?
I know that it does. What I'm saying
well,
is
you said it didn't. You just made the statement that it did not change the timing when you unplugged it.
No, forgive me. I said you misunderstood. When I disconnect the line and plug the vacuum line from the distributor, I do not need to move the distributor to change the timing to have the car function properly.
That's not a point at all. The engine's going to run the same. It's going to slow down in RPM. This is a conversation you and I should have because there are so many other people that want to call and ask questions. But let me just say this.
I was going to give you that option.
Yeah. Let's do that later offline. Because number one, here's what you have. You have a bad number 6 cylinder. You could throw away, or you have an intake manifold with a crack in it, or a port with a crack in it, or what have you, or a valve guide, or a ring problem in number 6 cylinder. Nothing to do with vacuum on the car.
Right. Well, I'll say one more thing. The only thing, no one can understand where it might be drawing it only by changing that that advanced mechanism.
It
Nobody
doesn't.
can understand
It doesn't.
what could be broken.
It doesn't. I challenge you to prove that that affects that
Right.
thing. Okay.
I appreciate your time.
Hey,
thank you. I enjoy the program.
Man,
and
I
you
appreciate
help a lot
you.
Of people.
I want to talk to you offline. Okay. So,
all right, Bobby.
So send me an email, Bobby at Car Clinic Network. We'll connect offline because you've got an issue that nobody can fix, but it's not a big issue. I'm telling you, it's simpler than what you're thinking. You're overcomplicating this challenge, and I don't know who's checked it before, but if number 6 cylinder is getting wet with oil, it's not rocket science. It's a ring, it's a guide, it's an intake manifold that's letting oil into that cylinder at an idle.
Right.
It's not rocket science. Okay. All right. Send me an email.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Bye.
I guess it's sort of like politics. You get in your mind one thing. I mean, when I was growing up, I used to think that Valvoline oil, every engine that I had to make had to have Valvoline oil in it. And Valvoline oil, I thought, was the only oil in the world. Was not. There is no only oil in the world. Folks, any brand oil you put in your car, now, I choose my own oil because of the additive package. But oil is oil, refined oil, whether it's Mobil 1, whether it's castor oil, whether it's Valvoline, whether it's Royal Purple. You will not damage your engine if you keep the oil changed and keep real oil in it. But that doesn't mean that there aren't prejudices or misbeliefs, just like ethanol. So many boat owners, and hey, I'm on the Gulf Coast here, so all you boat owners, listen up. I'll challenge you to prove, and your mechanics, I'll challenge you to prove that ethanol causes a problem. Alcohol is a cleaner, it's a solvent. Anyway, let's go to Jack and shift gears. Jack, good morning. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I got to get off my box now.
Okay, how are you? Things going pretty good, huh?
Yeah. I'm trying to help Alan, but in his mind, he thinks removing that vacuum line is causing, or plugging it is causing a problem with number 6 cylinder. It just ain't going to happen.
Well, that stuff will drive you crazy.
Yeah,
well,
I know.
I've got a simple one. I've got 2 cars. One's a Toyota Camry, 400,000 miles on it.
Okay.
I've never done a thing to it except change oil every 3,000 miles.
Right.
All the fluid and, keep things straight, and it keeps on running. But when I put gas in the gas tank, it wants to shoot out. Started doing that.
Well, that was the easy fix. Okay, whenever you put fuel or liquid down a pipe and fill something, as that liquid goes in, the air that it displaces has to get out.
Right. There should be a vent pipe, but I could not see one. Somebody said there's a little canister down there that could be not having a one-way valve work right.
That is correct. That is a carbon canister, emissions canister. That canister is connected to and is an integral part of the evap system, the evaporator control, the evaporative emission of your car. And that canister, in simple terms, leads to an area above the top of the tank or inside the tank, and as you fill the tank with the pipe at the gas station and you've got that nozzle in there, air goes into that canister and then comes back up that same pipe that you fill it, but it doesn't come up to where the end of the nozzle is. You know that little restrictor inside your gas fill pipe?
Right.
Well, just under there, you can't see it, but just under there, I say under, just a quarter of an inch deeper into that pipe than that restrictor, on the roof of that pipe, there's a port, and that port has a pipe that runs to the top of the tank through the canister and allows air to escape as you're putting gasoline in. And you have a blockage, could be a dirt dauber or whatever. You have I doubt it, but it could be. You have a blockage with or a problem with that evaporative emission canister and pipe, and that's and you have to just take it apart and see and check it with airflow. And we use a smoke tester for that. We have a machine that makes smoke, and we plug it in, and that's how we found the vacuum leak on that Mercedes, by the way.
Probably means dropping the gas tank, I guess.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. If it were a Jag or one of those other tough cars to work on, it would be. Infinity, I think we've had to drop tanks, but you should be able to see. But ultimately, just know this. To simplify it, liquid in, air's got to come out some way. If the air can't get out, the liquid says, "Hey, I'm stacking up here," and it spits back.
Yeah. Sometimes it'll work perfect. All of a sudden, next fill up, it won't.
Well,
backs up.
That's because two things. The fill rate at one gas pump is less than the other, and I like the faster the better, and or the check valve or valves or hose or issue is affected by temperature, cold, hot, or the valve is defective, and sometimes it opens the port and sometimes it doesn't. That's all part of the diagnostics. But yours is not a tough problem to fix as long as you have. Now, what I would suggest that you do when you take your car into a service shop, Jack, make sure that you have the less amount of fuel, like a quarter of a tank, an eighth of a tank, because if the technician has to drop the tank, by law, we have to take the fuel out of it, and that's so dangerous. I cringe every time I walk into the shop and smell raw gasoline. I know that, hey, who's working on do we have a leak or whatever, because there's nothing like the odor of raw gasoline, and in a shop, that is probably
dangerous.
The danger is unbelievable. Okay, hey, thanks for calling.
My 56 has a little plug you pull out and you drain it out nice and into a bucket.
That's great. Hey, thanks for
I
calling.
I have another question that's kind of curious. You might be interested. 89 Camaro, 550,000 miles on it.
Okay.
And it wouldn't start. I got a spark. Spark looked good and everything. And I finally gave up and took it to the shop. And he said it was sparking, yeah, but the coil was weak. It wasn't a strong enough spark. And he put a new coil on, started right up. So I've never had that happen.
Well, that goes back to what years ago. We used to pull a coil wire off, and if we got a big blue spark versus a yellow spark, then yeah, because in the cranking mode, here's the big deal. That's the starter motor.
Right.
The starter motor draws every bit of the energy from the battery, and that's why you got to have a really powerful battery so that the other systems, including the coils, have their fair share of voltage during the cranking cycle. Hey, got to take a break. Come back, take more calls at 888 Car Clinic.
Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts, and your car's battery is what keeps it all going. Here's something to keep in mind. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. So be sure to choose a battery with power frame technology inside. It's stronger, more durable, and keeps you going longer. That means you can count on a battery with power frame to be there start after start. Here's another reason to feel good about choosing a battery with power frame inside. It's manufactured using the latest sustainable processes. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. So the next time you need to replace your car's battery, make sure you choose one with power frame technology inside. Look for power frame on the outside, and know there's true strength on the inside.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So here we go again. So how interesting, and I can't help but think of all of the energy that we put into that call with Alan, who has an 85 model 5-liter V8 Mustang, I think it is, Ford product that and he truly believes that disconnecting or connecting a vacuum advance causes number 6 cylinder to flood with oil. That just doesn't happen. So Alan, if I sounded like too aggressive there, I didn't mean that to you. I was just trying to help you and to help you understand, because what you're thinking is just not possible, and perhaps I'm misinterpreting what you're saying, but I don't think so. Let's go to Peter in South Carolina. Peter, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning, Bobby, and
Good
thanks
morning.
for taking my call.
You're welcome, sir.
This is not really a problem. It's just kind of a funny story and an example of how God or angels or somebody looks after young fools.
Good.
In college, I had a 69 Chevy station wagon, so that dates me a little bit, and had a problem with, this is about the gas tank. Coming home at the end of the year, I was picking up my friend from his dorm, and we were going to drive home from there. And the requested procedure was to bump the car up over the curb, get up on the grass while you were loading, so we didn't have the street filled with cars. So we did that, got on down the road, started to smell gasoline. And I thought that was kind of odd. Stopped for gas, loosened the cap, and gas came out of the tank, flew out at us. And the fella at the gas station said, well, must be that the vent on the cap isn't working right. You need a new gas cap. So we replaced it, drove on down the road a ways. Same thing. Next time we stopped for gas. We've been smelling gas, but more forceful, like somebody actually had a gas hose squirting it out.
Wow.
And, this was just the craziest thing. What in the world could be going on? And I don't remember if my dad figured it out when we got it home, if it was the guy at the gas station. But this car had kind of a strange exhaust system. The exhaust pipe didn't come out the back of the car. It took a right turn, a right angle turn, and fed into the wheel well behind the left rear wheel.
Got it.
And when I had bumped up on that curb, it had pushed the pipe up far enough, the exhaust pipe, so it was feeding exhaust into the wheel well and the fender back there, so that it was circulating around the gas tank and heating the gas.
Wow.
So that's why we had all that pressure in the tank.
Wow.
So, like I say, we just got lucky on that one. I've never seen an exhaust pipe like that. I don't know. It was just one of those freaky things.
Well, that's so, Peter, that's so odd, because in that era, cars had one steel tube that was simplified. The evaporative systems didn't exist, and that steel tube was an overflow or an escape for air, and it would run the top of the tank and run to the back of the car and turn down, and it would vent to the atmosphere. And so chances were that it wasn't the heat so much as it was the vent for the gas tank got damaged or kinked. And because even with exhaust running near the gas tank, whether it's cold weather in South Carolina, let's say that it's 5 degrees above Fahrenheit above zero, and then that tomorrow it's 95 degrees. Well, the air in that fuel tank it continually goes in and comes out, and circulates, and to that end, that's what causes condensation in a lot of boats, because boats don't have evaporative systems. The newer ones do, of course, but boats are open to the atmosphere, the tank. So cool air goes in, and then it goes out, expands, contracts, expands, and that's where the condensation comes from, and the moisture accumulated in a fuel tank. So automotive fuel tanks were the same way. They had, and I'll give you a little stat that's of interesting. When evaporative emissions came out, which means that instead of allowing fuel vapors into the atmosphere, and we have to breathe those toxic fumes, they're captured now and they're put into the engine and burned, which helps gas mileage, because before it was that was something you could burn, escape into the atmosphere. But I'll never forget, because I was so impressed years ago, and I made this statement on radio here many times, that an automobile with evaporative emissions on a round trip from Washington to Manhattan, and back, round trip from Washington to Manhattan, would emit fewer emissions into the air than a 60 model car parked in your driveway all day long under Florida sun, let's say, because of the emissions that would breathe and the vapors from the gas tank through this very vent. So I suspect that, and I don't suspect, I actually truly believe it, that the vent for your vehicle was damaged because it's nothing more than looks like a steel brake line, and it's about a quarter of an inch or so. No, it's bigger than a quarter. It's about a 3/16, maybe 3/8 of an inch. Yeah, not quite. So it's about 3/16. Anyway, it's somewhere between a quarter and 3/8 of an inch pipe, and literally that just goes. And if you think about it, Peter, think about the vent on a NASCAR where they have to pour 10 gallons or 15 gallons of fuel in 6 seconds. The challenge is not getting the liquid in, the challenge is getting the air out, and their air vents are 3-inch pipes that are, I'm not sure they're 3-inch, but they're 2-inch. They're big, huge, big air escapes so that air can get out. Because you can't get any liquid in to anything if you can't get the air out that it displaces. But thanks for sharing that story. I appreciate that. Where do you live in South Carolina?
Upstate Anderson. It's about 20 miles from Greenville.
Yeah. Well, thanks for calling. I always love to hear from folks in that neck of the woods there, and thanks for sharing your story. That's very interesting.
Well, you're welcome. I enjoy your program every week.
Thank you, Peter.
Have a good day.
Thank you. You as well.
Bye.
So I want to share, this is a good time in the program, and now's a good time for you to get in. There's plenty of time left. 888-227-2546. 2546. 227-2546. And speaking of time, now's the time to add power and save money. Because now's the time to take advantage of a great rebate savings that you've heard me speak of on prior Bobby Likis Car Connect programs, the Diablo Sport. You can equip your ride with power that you can feel. And by the way, folks, Diablo Sport is an industry leader in performance tuning and provides remarkable power and value. Diablo Sport's tuners add instant horsepower and fuel economy potential and towing capacity. So whether you have a car, a truck, SUV, or a Jeep, Diablo Sport has you covered with tuning so that you can optimize your driving experience. And here's how. You can reach out and check online at Diablo Sports for the Predator 2. Remember that, Predator 2, Intune i3, or the Trinity 2. And here's the news about timing. Rebate through September 30. And you know what the date is? What, 28th, is it? September the 29th, I think. 29th. Okay, this is it. This is the deadline here. Predator 2 rebate is $20. The Intune i3 is $40, and the Trinity 2 is $60. So to learn how to qualify and to get more information about how you can add power to your Ford or your GM or your Chrysler or your Jeep, go to DiabloSport.com. Emit.com for all the details. And I personally installed a Diablo tuner kit in an F-150 EcoBoost, and it made a dynamic difference in the power of this vehicle. And that vehicle actually belongs to my general manager's father, and he loves it. He's not a racer. He just wanted a Ford. He loved the aluminum body, which I agree. But the Diablo Sport tuner made a significant difference in the power of that car. So folks, I remind you that every Saturday from 10 till noon, we come to you, and I'm here to help you solve your problems. And I don't know and don't have all the answers, but I can tell you that for sure there are certain buzzwords that I can provide for you that will help you to better communicate with your local service shop. And to that end, if you'll remember, if you're like Rocky, who called earlier from Florida with his 08 Grand Caravan, or the gentleman that we just talked with, Peter in South Carolina, with his 69 Chevrolet wagon, you just make sure that you tune in every week to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, and you use a trusted service provider for your repair and maintenance needs. I can help you with those buzzwords, and I can help you also know in your own area, whether you live in South Carolina or Washington State or California or Texas, you need to make sure that you're dealing with a company that is a member of Ford's professional service network, because of the excellent service coupled with Motorcraft, Omnicraft, and Ford Motor Company parts. You can learn more, and if you're a shop owner specifically, you can learn more at FordPSN.com. That's FordPSN.com. I'm proud to be a member of Ford's Professional Service Network. It's kind of cool for an independent shop owner to say that. Okay, let's get started. Again, 888-227-2546. Gas prices, as is my norm. In every region of the United States, bar none, gas prices are higher than they were this time last year. The average price is $2.84, with prices on the West Coast at $3.35. So $3.35, and then West Coast less California is $3.13. But regardless of the kind of a waves, you'll see the gas prices go up and down and up and down. No doubt about it. This same time last year, every region had cheaper gas prices than today. So I think we are sort of seeing the inching up of gas prices. The next thing you know, here we are at $3.35 in California. We start getting to the fours and into the 420s. That starts to get attention. So I'm just curious as to what the oil companies will do and how far they will push that envelope. I did have some special news for you. Lexus is the first to replace side view mirrors with cameras. Think about that. No, not in the States. They announced actually the launch of the new digital side view camera, which replaces the traditional side view mirror in vehicles, and they'll debut this new digital view technology on the 2019 ES models next month in Japan. And obviously, Japan's advanced technology is already approved for use, but it's not here in our country. But one of the newest, and you'll see this, and race cars already use this quite a bit. One of the new camera's primary advantages is it's shaped to resist the accumulation of rain or raindrops and snowfall, and then driver distractions that obstruct your view and with conventional mirrors. So that's really cool. I can't wait really to see and drive an automobile that has a camera, and you don't have to look. I don't know about you, but I scan my mirrors all the time, especially if I'm going to change lanes. Now, my car has a lane change warning, which is a little icon that lights up in my rear view mirror, but there have been times that I started to make lane changes without looking in that mirror, only to find out, oh, wait, there's somebody over there. So I like I need more warning. GM has a little seat monitor. Now, on your left cheek, there's a vibration if the car's on your left side or the right side. And I like that because you've got this little that gets your attention, and you know that you've got someone coming up in your blind spot. I want to take a quick call from Jerry. But first, let's go. Yeah, Jerry, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hello, good morning, Bobby.
Morning, sir.
I'm calling to mention to you a fix that I made on a vehicle with a long crank problem.
Please
early
do.
in the program.
Okay.
You talked about a vehicle.
Absolutely.
And it was a fuel injector problem.
Well, that certainly could be the cause. Do you know specifically if it was a leaking injector? We don't have leaking injectors. We have plenty of fuel pressure, and the pressure regulator, actually the fuel pump and the pressure regulator are new, and we don't have any leaking injectors. So I don't see how we could have a whole set of injectors that were slow to open, because this vehicle just and it never fails to start, Jerry, but it scares the lady who owns it. So, but did you have a set of injectors or one injector or what?
Well, I replaced all of them. It was a 3.8 engine on an 05 Caravan, Dodge Caravan.
Okay. Yep.
But I think it was #1 cylinder that was flooding. And for some reason, I think that injector was flooding the cylinder. I replaced all kinds of stuff until I replaced injectors with a set of rebuilt ones, and that solved my problem.
Wow. Hey, thanks I'm out of time, but I sure appreciate you calling and telling me that, because we're still in the queue to fix this car. Thank you so much.
Okay.
We are out of time, but let's put John up from New York. John, I am out of time, but I want to hear your comment quickly. You're welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick on the guy with the oil getting number 6.
Yeah.
I'm thinking there's something wrong with the intake manifold.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if he put a vacuum gauge.
He's already said he took the manifold off and all that is healthy and what have you. Definitely, there's a problem in drawing oil. Hey, call me next week. I want to discuss that with you, and folks. Same time, same station. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Motorrad, a longtime OE supplier, is the leader in automotive thermostats and fuel and oil coolant caps. Motorrad's state-of-the-art quality control and functional testing systems ensure high-quality, long-lasting products. Motorrad delivers world-class product development, providing all the parts and accessories needed to do the job right the first time, every time. Motorrad offers the best coverage of thermostats and closure caps in the world for virtually any vehicle and engine on or off the road. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service.
You're listening to Bob